address this first.
Go for it.
I want to ask you, is there one position you're looking at that the team just needs to desperately address? And when I think about this, one thing sticks out almost immediately, which is defensive end. I feel like they could use another speed rusher, right? But at the same time, they made signings, like you said, some of those smaller signings, some of those not big name defensive line type of guys, to where they'll have the rotations for that kind of stuff. They'll be able to do all kinds of different stuff. And with all the exotic stuff like we've been talking about, they're not going to have to rely on those true edge guys as much. So when I think about it that way, cornerback, what the hell is this team doing at cornerback? I don't understand it, Jason. Explain this to me. They haven't drafted a cornerback higher than pick 66 in this entire regime. That was Akella Witherspoon. He's not even on the team anymore, right? So, man, the one thing I feel like teams need to get their heads around in the NFL is that, listen, pressure is great. And if you create pressure, it makes it harder for quarterbacks, right? But if you can't cover guys like the 49ers learned in the Super Bowl, it doesn't matter about the pressure. It doesn't matter if Nick Bosa is hanging on your back. It doesn't matter if Tyreek Hill is 10 yards past the cornerback who's trying to cover him. So to me, I don't understand the philosophy of teams that are like, oh, we have enough cornerbacks, we're fine at that position. To me, I think every team should just be trying to get more and more cornerbacks. Like I look at the Dolphins and the Patriots as prime examples of this, where they show you that it doesn't matter how they get pressure. When they cover guys, teams can't pass the ball against them. So to me, when I look up and down the Niners roster, if they get one injury to any of their two starting cornerbacks, right, for Jason Varrett or for Emmanuel Moseley, it's almost season over at that point, or playoff hopes over, because then you're relying on the Ambry Thomases of the world or the Diamador Lenores of the world, right, to come in and play a role for you, to where you don't want to put those guys in a position, right? I mean, even with Ambry Thomas, he was a pick 102. And this was funny. When I looked at this with Grant, and specifically I talked about this with him on my stream a few weeks ago, the top 10 paid corners in the NFL, Jason, 7 of them first-round picks. The next 3, all second-round picks, with only one guy being picked after like pick 38. So when the team is like, oh, we're fine at cornerback, we can just, draft guys in the hundreds in the 3rd and the 5th round, they're addressing the issue, but they're not really addressing the issue.
I mean, you stole my answer. I've been scared to death. I've been trying to pound the table for AJ Boye, Steven Nelson's out there. And again, it's nothing against Ambry Thomas, Lenore, anything like that, or Dante Johnson, any of those guys. It's just that you got to hope, knock on wood, God forbid, because I love the journey. I love the player. Jason Varrett's last season is the new rule and not the exception to how his career has gone. Emmanuel Moseley is fine, very solid, not equipped to stop number ones. You saw what happened when he had to guard Devontae Adams. You saw what happened when he had to go get DK Metcalf at times. So, yes, cornerback would have been my answer as well. Then, you find yourself in a position in a Miami game where you have to pick poor Brian Allen off of the practice squad. And I'm not even trying to clown him. It's because if I was a guy who wasn't even – I've taken all my snaps as special teams and I profile as a cornerback, and then you say, all right, get in an NFL game. If I was on the other side, I would just say throw at that guy until he proves that he can't. So I'm not trying to even get upset with Brian Allen. And again, I can't make fun of any NFL player. They're in the NFL. No. Doesn't matter. But
I think the point stands is you can't have enough good corners. Like, right. I don't understand these teams who think they're just okay at corner. You look at a team like the Broncos, right? I mean, their secondary is loaded, and they have guys who can cover people all over the field. And with the way that the NFL is going, with the way that passing is going in the NFL, with the way they're changing the rules in the NFL, passing is so important on defense. And I just want to get back to something I was saying earlier. The pressure isn't going to matter that the 49ers are creating if they don't cover the wide receivers that are on the field. I mean, it doesn't matter if it takes you 2.5 seconds to get to the quarterback if every single wide receiver has 5 yards of separation, right?
It's me again being the person who wants to have names that I can rely on, people that I know. You're betting on Ambry Thomas profiles as somebody who's a bit of a developmental player. For when Lenore was drafted, people thought that there's the K'Wan Williams replacement. So that means that you think that he's primarily slot. Clearly, it doesn't look like that, which the video wound up costing them their developmental week. But it clearly didn't look like that. But again, reps on 7-on-7. And NFL games. So let's just say doomsday. This is doomsday right here for you. Right. The 49ers roll into Tennessee. They need a big win. in Tennessee. Verrett's injured. Moseley's got to guard either A.J. Brown or Julio Jones. That's what I'm talking about right there. Those sort of games, those sort of things. So it's more just about hoping that what Jason Varrett did last year is the new rule, and just hoping that this cornerback room does not sustain any injuries, because you don't want to put guys in bad positions where that can also stunt their development and have people pile on. Look, it took Jimmy Ward 7 years before people actually even understood how good he was. And it took him fighting through everyone criticizing him for his entire time here before they finally understood how talented he is. So that's just an example of sometimes guys get put in situations that are wrong, and when they don't perform, people turn on them, not the fan base, the media.
Yeah.
It's just, honestly, you really have to be prepared for everything. So I like the drafting of Ambry Thomas. I like the drafting of Lenoir. But like you said, they're not high picks. You're just hoping that you could turn them into something. But as far as names you can rely on in case something happens, gets very thin after Emmanuel Moseley. Then you're talking about Tim Harris, Dante Johnson, those sort of guys. Yeah, I mean, nothing against them. It's just, you got to show us now. And you don't want to have them try to figure it out during a game, especially if the game's important.